Welcome to our prayer channel. Here, we seek to strengthen our faith and find peace through prayer. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel to follow our moments of spirituality. Don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who needs a little light and faith. Let's strengthen our journey of prayer and hope together. May God bless each one of you. St. Joseph, today I consecrate my home to you. Maybe you arrived here with heavy shoulders, short breath, your head still full of the day's noise. I see you. I recognize the fatigue that gathers in the corners of the heart when a house stops being a shelter and becomes only an address. Close the inner doors for a moment, not forcefully but gently. Let silence reach you like a breeze. Imagine taking your first step into the carpenter's workshop in Nazareth. Wood, simple light, the rhythm of hands at work, the steady gaze of one who protects in silence. This is where we begin. St. Joseph, today I consecrate my home to you. There is a hunger for peace that is not satisfied by perfect phrases or long explanations. The body knows when the home is at war. The jaw clenches, sleep runs away, the table grows cold. Science calls threat signals, what the heart names abandonment. The brain seeks safety, the heart seeks presence, and presence is exactly what faith offers. When we return to the essential, God at the center, love as order, service as language. It is not a romanticizing of daily life. It is a change of perspective. It is allowing grace to permeate the concrete, the rooms, the kitchen, the routine. St. Joseph, today I consecrate my home to you. Notice how the soul calms when it feels guarded. The nervous system reorganizes itself when it finds a safe point. And that point begins with a simple gesture. Stop, breathe, name what weighs on you. Inhale to a count of 4. Exhale a little longer. Let the body relearn the path of peace. Meanwhile, prayer lights like a candle at dusk. Joseph's silence is not omission. It is space to listen. It is the kind of silence that gathers, integrates, heals. When the inner voice grows softer, the truth can be heard without wounding. St. Joseph, today I consecrate my home to you. Perhaps there are hard stories within walls that seem to hear too much. Perhaps there are words that should never have been spoken, or absences that hurt like slamming doors. I do not ignore any of this. I do not minimize any of this. I simply invite you to rest a little, to allow mercy to touch the pain without shaming you. Faith does not erase memory, but offers a new way to remember. With Jesus at the center and Joseph as guardian, the home learns another language. Less noise, more presence, less accusation, more responsibility, less haste, more offering. St. Joseph, today I consecrate my home to you. This is not a video that promises ease. It is a path. It is a covenant of trust. Providence does not replace our duties, but sustains them from within, like a beam that doesn't show in the finish, yet keeps everything standing. Research on habit shows that small fidelities change trajectories. Our tradition teaches the same with different words. What we repeat shapes us. What we offer frees us. Repeat a simple prayer. Repeat a gesture of service. Repeat the forgiveness that seems impossible. Little by little, the heart changes its cadence. St. Joseph, today I consecrate my home to you. As daylight yields to a gentler tone, let these words rest upon your table like a loaf fresh from the oven. Touch the surface with your palm, feel the temperature, notice the texture. Faith also passes through the body. When the hand touches, the soul awakens. When the home is offered, the story breathes. Today we begin slowly, with reverence, with truth. Today, before God, under your gaze, Joseph, we ask only one thing. Teach us your silence and your guardianship, so that room by room, gesture by gesture, our home becomes a refuge again. Silent guardian, intercede for us. When the day ends and the doors close, the house reveals the climate the heart carries within. And there are days when that climate weighs like an overcast sky that neither breaks into rain nor clears into light. Tense routine, noises filling the gaps, screens flashing on and off like domestic lightning create a kind of spiritual fatigue that doesn't shout but consumes. It isn't only about arguments or tight schedules, it's about the sense that an axis is missing, a presence that organizes meaning, a table that is not just surface but encounter. The body senses it first. Rigid shoulders, furrowed brow, alert stomach. Neuroscience calls this a threat state, a circuit activated when the brain reads that there is no shelter. Faith translates it differently. When God is no longer at the center, the house loses love's plumb line and the heart becomes disoriented. There is an invisible mistake that repeats with good intentions yet still empties us. Believing domestic peace will come only from ever longer conversations, ever more precise explanations, agreements that read like clauses in an endless contract. Conversation is valuable, but without conversion and intercession, words become a tired hammer striking the wrong nail. The Christian tradition has always seen the home as a meeting place between the visible and the invisible, where grace touches the concrete without spectacle, and St. Joseph remains a silent sign of this. Dignified work that becomes prayer, firm care that becomes shelter, fidelity that sustains common life when enthusiasm no longer does. Subtle signs appear when the home drifts from this axis, arriving and feeling weight instead of rest, a table that loses its joy even when there is food, sleep that won't come even when the body begs, a mood that unravels into impatience over small things. These signs accuse no one. They announce that something precious needs care. The nervous system tries to protect us by heightening vigilance, but prolonged vigilance becomes a constant electric fence, and living behind fences wears us down more than it defends. Faith offers another image, hands that put God back at the center so everything else can find its place, and when the center realigns, even the air seems to change density. St. Joseph, today, I consecrate my home to you. In speaking this phrase, something within remembers that true protection is not the absence of trials, but faithful presence in the midst of them. The stability we seek does not arise from a flawless scene, but from a heart that learns where the refuge is. Attachment psychology would say a secure bond reorganizes emotions. Tradition would say a consecrated heart organizes the home. In both languages, a movement of trust begins small and becomes a way. Joseph's silence, far from omission, is ground where the soul breathes again. Silence that does not ignore wounds, but creates space for them to be seen without embarrassment and little by little healed. When domestic fatigue dominates, the desire to control every detail grows, as if control were the same as care. But excessive control is fear's haste dressed up as zeal, and the home perceives the difference the way the body perceives an overpowering perfume. Instead of welcoming, it repels. Providence, by contrast, sustains from within. It does not replace responsibilities, but infuses them with meaning, and meaning is fuel for perseverance. In brain terms, what has meaning stops being a threat and becomes an achievable task. In spiritual terms, what is offered stops being a burden and becomes an act of surrender, and surrender, when made in love, has the texture of freedom. Perhaps the walls keep stories of harsh words and cold silences, and the heart fears reopening memories. This is not about forcing instant reconciliations or denying old pains. It is about allowing God's presence under Joseph's guardianship to offer another way to remember. When memory meets mercy, the narrative changes focus. It does not erase the facts, but illuminates new possible gestures. The brain learns by repetition, and the spirit matures by fidelity. This convergence slowly transforms the home's climate. The table becomes a place of face and word again. The bedroom becomes rest, work becomes dignity, and the hallway, once only passage, becomes a path of encounter. St. Joseph, today I consecrate my home to you. Between what tires and what heals, there is an interval of presence, a space where the gaze slows and the soul regains its axis. In that interval, the silent guardian of the Holy Family trains us in a different vigilance, not the kind that suspects everyone, but the kind that protects what is essential. Protecting the essential, the home relearns how to breathe. Silent guardian, intercede for us. There is a silent dimension that supports a home from within, a kind of invisible foundation that doesn't appear on the blueprint, yet keeps everything standing when the winds change. This dimension is called surrender. It is not an escape from reality, not a substitute for responsibility, not an emotional shortcut. It is the heart finding an axis and anchored there, reorganizing the rest. When life is offered to God through St. Joseph, something in the body recognizes safety. The chest finds more space. The breath returns to its rhythm. The mind finds tracks that are less rough. Tradition calls this consecration. Neuroscience, in its way, recognizes the effect of secure bonds on the nervous system. Different names for a common experience. Presence that sustains, covenant that consoles, guidance that integrates. It is not superstition. It is an act of entrusting people and spaces to St. Joseph's care. Any baptized person can pray a private family consecration. The blessing of the home, when possible, is given by a priest, deacon, complementary, not competing. Theological axis. Joseph, as guardian of the Holy Family, inspires servant authority in the home. St. Joseph, today I consecrate my home to you. In this phrase, the language of affection and the language of faith intersect. What the heart calls shelter, theology describes as paternal mediation. Joseph, chosen to guard Jesus and Mary, becomes a sign of obedient, non-possessive protection, of authority that serves, not imposes, of firmness that does not harden. The home that entrusts itself to this guardianship learns a new emotional economy. Less wasted energy on exhausting vigilance, more inner availability for presence and care. In a calm state, the brain reopens windows for learning. In a trusting state, the soul reopens windows for hope. Domestic consecration does not compete with dialogue, therapy, or daily effort. It welcomes all of them and gives them a north. It's like a watermark running behind the day's scenes. It organizes intention, purifies motivation, reorients the gaze. Spiritually, it affirms that the house belongs to God and is entrusted to Joseph's watch. Emotionally, it recognizes that the home needs stable signs, rituals that recall belonging, a shared story worth sustaining. And when the shared story has providence as its backdrop, memory finds another way to weave difficult recollections, not erasing them, but keeping them from defining everything. In Nazareth, nothing looked grand from the outside, yet everything was full of meaning. Wood receiving the right cut, tools returned to their place, bread shared without haste, a gaze that meets a gaze and confirms, here you are safe. Consecration carries this spirit into our walls. It affirms that the ordinary is a path, that the small is fertile, that silence has content. There is no promise of spectacle, there is a promise of care. And care, when constant, changes the home's climate like a breeze you don't notice at first, but suddenly the house is aired out, the heart less dense, the steps gentler. The difference between consecrating and merely wishing for peace lies in the decision to belong. Wishing is legitimate, but can be trapped by the day's mood. Belonging creates roots that outlast moods. When a house knows it belongs to God, tensions don't disappear by decree, but they lose the power to have the last word. In clinical language, a secure bond regulates emotions and frees energy for better choices. In Christian language, grace visits daily life and makes it fruitful. And when fruitfulness comes, you sense it in almost shy details. Conversation that flows again, a table that regains flavor, a bedroom that shelters true rest, work that rediscovers dignity. St. Joseph, today I consecrate my home to you. This repetition does not seek rhetorical effect. It stabilizes intention, tunes the ear, creates an inner tempo. As a craftsman repeats movements until the hand memorizes the gesture, the heart repeats surrender until it becomes second nature. Spiritual life matures through small fidelities, and emotional life strengthens through safe repetitions. Here again, the languages meet. Each time this phrase returns, the memory of the silent guardian returns with it. Joseph, presence that does not compete, authority that protects, humility that lifts. Under this guardianship, the house recognizes itself as a refuge once more. In the end, consecration speaks less about seeking extraordinary moments and more about the courage to sustain the ordinary with steady love. When the home is entrusted, the noise doesn't take center stage. Presence gains depth, and in that depth, memory heals without fanfare. Life together finds tenderness again, and hope fits back into ordinary days. St. Joseph, today I consecrate my home to you. May this truth find a home in what is simple, steady, discreet, like your care. Silent guardian, intercede for us. There are moments when the heart, thirsty for relief, expects the sky to tear with a sound, an immediate gesture that erases tensions and returns lightness to the home. The hope for something sudden is human, understandable, but the experience of mature faith points to another path: covenant. Covenant is a bond that remains when enthusiasm fades, trust that sustains when the landscape does not change quickly, fidelity that becomes inner rhythm. Neuroscience describes this process as stabilization. Safety signals repeated over time reorganize the nervous system, light up circuits of calm, widen the margin for choices. Tradition calls grace what clinical language calls regulation. Where the two meet, a home finds its axis. Consecration does not dispense with duties. Reconciliation, honesty, order and purity in daily life. Providence, passivity. St. Joseph teaches concrete obedience, not the escape from responsibilities. The first fruit is a change of habits. Less noise, more prayer, work that becomes prayer. Between the desire for relief and true covenant, there is a difference in texture. Desire is like a brief light that touches the skin and passes. Covenant penetrates layers, reaches the muscles that hold old tensions, touches memories that seem to live in the walls. When providence is understood as presence and not exemption, concrete life gains new dignity. Honesty stops being a threat and becomes a bridge. Order stops sounding like control and reveals itself as care. Purity stops seeming like mere restraint and becomes freedom that knows how to love without possessing. The brain reads this stability as safe predictability, and safe predictability reduces excessive vigilance. The spirit recognizes the same phenomenon as renewed trust. The habit change born of covenant does not have the shine of thunderous beginnings, but it has the strength of foundations. Less noise opens space for words that welcome. More prayer returns flavor to conversation. Work that becomes prayer sets the home's cadence, as if Nazareth's workshop lent its rhythm. Hands repeating gestures of care, a body learning to rest amid service, attention that doesn't waste energy on alarms. In the brain's deeper regions, repeated coherent signals trace new pathways. In the soul's intimacy, repeated small offerings form a new way of being in the world. The ordinary begins to carry a light burden. It is not magic, it is covenant. This phrase, repeated within, undoes silent misunderstandings. A home does not become a refuge through devotional tricks, but because God's presence, sincerely welcomed, realigns intentions and re-educates affections. The memory of old wounds gives way to more merciful readings. Life together gains the contours of tenderness that does not impose itself. It simply appears, like noticing an open window and sensing that the air has changed. Clinically, this is the integration of emotion and thought, with the body finally authorized to leave high alert. In the language of tradition, it is the loving obedience Joseph embodies, firm, discreet, serene. Under Joseph's guardianship, providence is not a shortcut, it is support. Reconciliation has a chance when honesty stops wounding and begins healing. Order regains nobility when it is an expression of care, not rigidity. Purity reappears as transparency that makes it possible to trust again. This invisible architecture rises brick by brick, gesture by gesture, inside and out, until the whole house begins to speak a new language of patience and presence. The body senses it before the words, the jaw loosens, the gaze softens, the breath finds cadence. The soul follows with quiet gratitude. St. Joseph, today I consecrate my home to you. The covenant sealed in this phrase does not promise shortcuts. It promises roots, roots that seek water even when the surface is dry, roots that do not compete with storms but endure them. Protection born here is not the absence of trials, it is presence that protects from within. And protected from within, the home remembers who it is. Remembering who it is, it breathes again as a place of encounter. Silent guardian, intercede for us. In the silence before night, the home reveals its most human contours. Glasses in the sink, low light in the hallway, a tiredness spreading along the walls like a long sigh. In this common scene, so ours, a discreet path gains the strength of an embrace that organizes us inside. Tradition has always sensed that rituals do not exist to control the mystery, but to train the heart to perceive it. Neuroscience, in turn, observes that predictable sequences reduce bodily vigilance and welcome the mind onto a safety track. When both languages approach each other, daily life gains density. Simple gestures, repeated with intention, rebuild the home to the rhythm of trust. At the heart of this path, a set of gestures appears with the serenity of someone who holds the family's hand without hurry. It is the trace of a covenant, not a trick. It is a pattern for the soul to breathe, not a manual for the soul to perform. And so, with clarity and gentleness, a way unfolds that points from the inside out. Each gesture has its own language. The brief initial silence does not run from anything. It simply gives space for reality to unfold without dispute. The body recognizes this space and reorganizes itself, as if shoulders that were on guard found a resting point and dropped a few millimeters. The sign of the cross draws an invisible axis in the air and reminds us that every story has a center, and that this center is love. The invocation of Joseph, the silent guardian, lights an effective memory of steady protection, similar to what attachment theory calls a secure base, a presence that neither invades nor abandons. When the word of God is heard, something about time changes texture. This is not the search for instant answers, but an attentive listening that calibrates the compass, a phrase that finds a home within and reorganizes the day to come. The prayer of entrusting the house has the delicacy of true covenants, and the sentence that entrusts doors, rooms, table, and work has the firmness of those who recognize that the sacred crosses the concrete. The gesture with the image and holy water does not play with symbols. It states, with beauty and sobriety, that the home belongs to God and that under Joseph's watch, daily life becomes a place for possible fidelity. The home's purposes do not impose themselves as extra weight, but as gentle rails for disordered affections. A table without distractions is not nostalgia. It is a space of encounter where the face has a place again. A brief prayer before rest is not performance. It is the crossing between light and night where the soul settles. Forgiveness resumed before sleep does not erase complex conflicts, but prevents small thorns from growing needlessly. In the body's language, gestures like these reduce hyperarousal and invite the nervous system toward a less defensive rhythm. In the language of faith, gestures like these open windows for providence to breathe inside the home. The daily aspiration, repeated quietly, works like a safety pin in the fabric of the days. St. Joseph, provide. It is repeated because good repetitions save us from forgetting, and forgetting is one of the subtlest ways to lose hope. The final thanksgiving closes the cycle with humility, not to tally a balance, but to recognize that grace moves gently and often almost imperceptibly. When gratitude concludes, the whole body understands that care has been given to the heart, and the heart, in turn, returns to the home a fragrance of simple peace, the kind that doesn't make noise but sustains. Over 7 gestures, Nazareth's workshop touches the floors of our living rooms, hallways and bedrooms. There is no urgency, no spectacle, no pressure. There is a thread of presence, patiently weaving what hurried days tend to unravel. And as this thread strengthens, a quiet certainty grows that providence does not exempt us from life. It accompanies us from within, teaching the body to calm, memory to reconcile, and the home to remember who it is. St. Joseph, today I consecrate my home to you. Silent guardian, intercede for us. A door, when it becomes welcome and hospitality, changes the atmosphere even before the first greeting. There is a soft vibration in the air when a threshold announces peace. The body senses it instantly. Facial muscles soften, the gaze finds rest, the breath finds cadence. Simply put, the brain begins to predict safety and disarms the vigilance that exhausts. Spiritually, the heart recognizes the presence of a love that does not measure, only receives. A door that welcomes is more than an entrance. It is a promise of care. A table, when it becomes sharing and reconciliation, stops being just a surface and becomes an everyday altar. Bread tastes different when we know the faces around it matter more than the opinions that divide us. Neuroscience speaks of co-regulation, shared feelings, stories that are heard, rhythms that align. Tradition speaks of communion, the self-gift that heals the ego's detours, the forgiveness that restores the other's dignity, the gaze that says, you have a place. At the table, conversation regains texture, laughter fits again, and memory learns to store carefully what was once kept harshly. A bedroom, when it becomes chastity of the heart and rest in God, regains the sense of retreat. Chastity here is not tense resistance, but ordered love. Freedom that knows the measure of body and gaze. Rest, in turn, ceases to be escape and becomes trusting surrender, like resting your head on a pillow that holds stories of sincerity. The mind, so often spinning without breaks, finds pockets of silence where remembrance becomes less sharp and more understood. Low light, fabric against the skin, air cooling slowly, everything conspires toward an intimate reconciliation between what we feel and what we believe. A kitchen, when it becomes joyful service, transforms tasks into a liturgy of care. There is a music of its own in clinking glasses, rising steam, the scent that announces comfort. Joyful service is not euphoria, it is firmness with gentleness. In the body's language, repeated movement finds rhythm, and rhythm soothes. In the language of faith, the offered gesture finds meaning, and meaning sets free. In this gentle joy, hands relearn the language of gift, preparing, washing, putting away, not to check a box, but to affirm that love knows how to descend to the small. A workspace or study area, when it becomes diligence, lends the home the cadence of Joseph's workshop. Diligence is attention that does not lose the essential, care that does not confuse haste with value. With St. Joseph, every work is prayer. Repeating this phrase within sets priorities, purifies motivations, dispels the shadow of soulless productivity. The brain responds by creating more stable paths of concentration. The soul follows, remembering that usefulness does not define dignity. The result is an active serenity, a quiet constancy that, precisely because it doesn't make noise, sustains. When each room finds its virtue, the house stops being a neutral backdrop and becomes a character that forms us. Episodic memory turns into an ally. Each crossing of the door recalls welcome. Each meal lights reconciliation. Each night returns chastity of heart. Each pot confirms joyful service. Each task reaffirms diligence. St. Joseph, today I consecrate my home to you. In the calm repetition of this phrase, spaces gain a voice, gestures grow roots, words gain specific weight, not heavy but dense with meaning. Nothing here promises spectacle. What unfolds is an invisible architecture, the kind that keeps the structure intact in difficult seasons. When the wind changes, the home does not deny the wind. It simply remembers its beams. Providence works like this, from the inside out, from the bottom up, from the small to the whole. And little by little, what was only a dwelling becomes a refuge again, a door that welcomes, a table that reconciles, a bedroom that restores, a kitchen that serves with joy, work that prays while it works. St. Joseph, today I consecrate my home to you. Silent guardian, intercede for us. When night falls and the house grows quiet, the small sounds begin to tell stories. The street noise fading, wood expanding, footsteps losing their haste. There is a moment when the heart realizes the day fit entirely into God's hands, even with flaws, even with rough edges. This moment needs no spectacle. It only needs to be recognized. Joseph's quiet presence stitches this recognition, line by line, like mending a hem worn by use. The body knows when fabric is being mended. The breath deepens, the chest opens space, the head loosens its knots. In clinical language, cohesion returns. In the language of faith, grace visits. The path traveled is not lost. Named pain finds a place to rest without becoming the master of the house. Consecration, understood as surrender, provides a frame for scattered emotions. Covenant, embraced without shortcut, turns desire into belonging. And discreet gestures, those that mark the tempo through the days, sustain what memory has just learned. When all this meets, a different texture is born. The ordinary becomes fertile. The small gains density, silence fills with meaning. As in Nazareth, the simple stops being poor and becomes a source. There are homes that relearn how to speak, not with loud volumes, but with a grammar of goodness that does not force understanding. It simply offers it. The door recalls welcome. The table recalls reconciliation. The bedroom protects a rest that is not escape but trust. The kitchen sings service that does not humiliate but lifts. Work rediscovers dignity and meaning. And between one scene and another, a phrase repeats within that has become ground. St. Joseph, today I consecrate my home to you. Repetition does not tire when the soul recognizes it as a truth of belonging. It deepens roots. Little by little, the heart learns to distinguish between weight and responsibility, guilt and repentance, control and care. Neuroscience describes this maturity as integration, the capacity to hold intense feelings together with coherent choices. Tradition describes it as virtue, constancy, meekness, diligence, purity of heart. In both languages, there is a home rebuilt from the inside out, supported by an axis that does not depend on the tides. This stability does not kidnap pain. It gives pain a neighborhood alongside hope, and hope, when it breathes, runs through the rooms like fresh air. Under the guardian's mantle, difficult memories lose their harsh glare and gain more human contours. The mind no longer needs to watch all the doors at once, because faithful presence protects what is essential. Feeling guarded, the soul allows itself the tenderness that once seemed like a luxury, and this tenderness returns face to face, name to name, story to story. There is a sober beauty in this return to the essential. It is not triumphalism, it is loving gravity, not anesthesia, but serene lucidity. Not a promise of a road without stones, but the certainty of company along the way. What if from today on, each simple gesture at home became a place of encounter with God under Joseph's care? What if memory learned to remember with mercy? What if life together rediscovered the taste of patience? What if the walls, so often witnesses of hurry and noise, began to reflect a kind of silence that heals because it listens? This question does not require a rushed answer. It only asks the heart to carry it, like someone who keeps a small key in a pocket. St. Joseph, protector of the Holy Family, watch over this home. In your humble presence, life finds its rhythm. In your obedient silence, faith finds shelter. In your prudent courage, hope finds a path. We place under your care the doors, the rooms, the table, the work, the conversations, and the silences. May God's providence, through your intercession, organize from within what on the outside still needs time. Silent guardian, intercede for us.